Now we're going to be doing Ruth 2, and I'm going to be looking at Boaz and his mother Rahab from verse 2. Naomi had a relative of her husband, a worthy man of the clan of Elimelech, whose name was Boaz. And Ruth the Moabite said to Naomi, "Let me go to the field and glean among the ears of grain after him, in whose sight I shall find favor." And she said to her, "Go, my daughter." So she set out and went and gleaned in the field after the reapers. And she happened to come to the part of the field belonging to Boaz, who was of the clan of Elimelech. And behold, Boaz came from Bethlehem. And he said to the reapers, "The Lord be with you." And they answered, "The Lord bless you." Then Boaz said to his young man, who was in charge of the reapers, "Who is that young woman?" And the servant who was in charge of the reapers answered, "She is the young Moabite woman who came back with Naomi from the country of Moab. She said, 'Please let me glean and gather among the sheaves after the reapers.' So she came, and she has continued from very early in the morning until now, except for a short rest." Then Boaz said to Ruth, "Now listen, my daughter. Do not go and glean in another field or leave this one, but keep close to my young woman. Let your eyes be on the field that they are reaping, and go after them. Have I not charged the young men not to touch you? And when you are thirsty, go to the vessels and drink what the young men have drawn." Then she fell on her face, bowing to the ground, and said to him, "Why have I found favor in your eyes, that you should take notice of me, since I am a foreigner?" But Boaz answered her, "All that you have done for your mother-in-law Naomi since the death of your husband has been fully told to me, and how you left your father and your mother and your native land, and came to a people that you did not know before. May the Lord repay you for what you have done, and a full reward be given to you by the Lord, the God of Israel, under whose wing you have come to take refuge." Then she said, "I have found favor in your eyes, my Lord, for you have comforted me and spoken kindly to your servant, though I am not one of your servants." And at mealtime Boaz said to her, "Come here, eat some bread, and dip your morsel in the wine." So she sat beside the reapers, and he passed to her roasted grain. And she ate until she was satisfied, and she had some left over. When she rose to glean, Boaz instructed his young men, saying, "Let her glean even among the sheaves, and do not reproach her. And also pull out some from the bundles for her, and leave it for her to glean, and do not rebuke her." So she gleaned in the field until evening. Then she beat out what was gleaned, and it was about an ephah of barley. And she took it up, and she went into the city. Her mother-in-law saw what she had gleaned. She also brought out and gave her what food she had left over, after being satisfied. And her mother-in-law said to her, "Where did you glean today? And where have you worked? Blessed be the man who took notice of you." So she told her mother-in-law with whom she had worked, and said, "The man's name with whom I worked today is Boaz." She returned home with Ruth, and the house, it was empty. There was no food in Bethlehem. There was no longer famine in this time of the barley harvest. And Ruth decides to go and glean on a field on the outskirts, as is custom and biblical. This is in Deuteronomy 24, verse 19. For all farmers have a section of their land for the poor to collect food. And Ruth happens to come onto Boaz's field and glean on the outskirts. I don't think this is by chance. What is Boaz's family history and his context? Let's try and discover more about him. I encourage you to read the accounts of Rahab in Joshua 2 verses 1 to 22 and 6 verses 15 to 25, Hebrews 11:31 and James 2:25. And Joshua the son of Nun sent 2 men secretly from Shittim as they were spies, saying, "Go, view the land, especially Jericho." And they went and came into the house of a prostitute, whose name was Rahab, and lodged there. And it was told to the king of Jericho, "Behold, men of Israel have come here tonight to search out the land." Then the king of Jericho sent to Rahab, saying, "Bring out the men who have come to you, who entered your house, for they have come to search out all the land." But the woman, Rahab, had taken the 2 men, she had hidden them, and she said to them, "True, the men came to me, but I did not know where they were from. And when the gate was about to be closed at dark, the men went out. I do not know where the men have gone." "Pursue them quickly, for you will overtake them," she said. But she had brought them up to her roof, and she had hid them in the stalks of flax that she had laid in order for them to hide in the roof. So the men pursued after them on the way to the Jordan, as far as the fords, and the gate was shut as soon as the pursuers had gone out. Before the men lay down, she came up to them on the roof, and she said to the men, "I know that the Lord has given you the land, and that the fear of you has fallen upon us, and that all the inhabitants of the land melt away before you. For we have heard how the Lord dried up the water of the Red Sea before you when you came out of Egypt, and what you did to the 2 kings of the Amorites who were beyond the Jordan, to Sihon and Og, whom you devoted to destruction. And as soon as we heard it, our hearts melted, and there was no spirit left in any man because of you. For the Lord your God, He is the God in the heavens above and on the earth beneath. Now then, please swear to me by your Lord that as I have dealt kindly with you, you also deal kindly with my father's house, and give me a sure sign that you will save me, you will keep me alive with my father and my mother and my brothers and sisters and all who belong to them, and deliver our lives from death." And the men said to her, "Our life for yours, even to death, if you do not tell this business of ours. Then when the Lord gives us the land, we will deal kindly and faithfully with you." Then she set them down by a rope, a scarlet rope, through the window, for her house was built in the city wall, so she lived in the wall. And she said to them, "Go into the hills, or the pursuers will encounter you, and hide there 3 days until the pursuers have returned. Then afterward you may go your way." The men said to her, "We will be guiltless with respect to this oath of yours that you have made us swear. Behold, when we come into the land, you shall tie the scarlet cord in the window through which you let us down. And you shall gather into your house your father and your mother, your brothers and your father's household. Then, if anyone goes out of the doors of your house into the street, his blood shall be on his own head, and we shall be guiltless. But if a hand is laid on anyone who is with you in the house, his blood shall be on our head. But if you tell this business of ours, then we shall be guiltless with respect to your oath that you have made us swear." And she said, "According to your words, so be it." Then she sent them away, and they departed, and she tied the scarlet cord in the window. They departed and went into the hills and remained there 3 days until the pursuers returned. And the pursuers searched all along the way and found nothing. So from these verses we learned that Rahab was a prostitute in Jericho amongst the people of Canaan who did not follow God, the God of the Israelites. However, she had heard stories about the God of Israel and how they had been delivered. She had not seen these events, yet she believed by faith that they were true. She had faith in Yahweh, to the point that she was willing to risk her life to spare the lives of the spies. We know this verse, as we lose our life, we can gain it, from Matthew 10, verse 38. She hides the 2 spies from the guards. She says to them, when questioned, "True, the men came to me, but I did not know where they were from. And when the gate was about to be closed at dark, the men went out. I do not know where the men went. Pursue them quickly," she says, "for you will overtake them." That we read in Joshua 2. From a biblical perspective, Scripture tells us that we cannot lie. That's in Leviticus 19, verse 11. This is true, and we as Christians know this to be true. But Rahab was not an Israelite. She had not been brought up in the temple or the church or in God's ways. She believed in God, the God of the Israelites, based on the story she had heard about Israel being delivered from Egypt. So she defended the 2 spies in the only way she knew how, by deceiving the gods. She showed love, kindness, and loyalty to 2 men she did not know, simply based on the fact that they belonged to Yahweh. She trusted the name of the Lord, their God, so much that she asked them in return for her protection from them, that they must swear by their God to protect her and her family. She trusts that their word before their God is powerful enough. No signed contracts, just their word. They give her their word that if the Lord gives them the land, they will be kind and faithful to her and her family. And that we read in Joshua 2 verses 11 to 14. She even suggests a plan of escape for them. She lets them down by her scarlet robe through her window of her house, which we read was built in the wall of Jericho. The scarlet robe that saved the spies is the same robe that is a sign and protection for Rahab and her family when the Israelites come as an army. The color of the cord or rope would stand out clearly against the wall for the Israelites to see. When the Israelites did come and conquer Jericho by the mighty hand of God, Joshua says to the 2 spies, "Go into the prostitute's house and bring them from there, and the woman and all who belong to her, as you swore to her." They were faithful to Rahab and her family, as it says she lived in Israel to this day. Joshua 6 verse 25. This is significant because normally a foreigner would not be allowed to live amongst them, but on the outskirts of their city. This story is set in the context of the book of Joshua and Judges, where religious leaders, they compromised the land, and they were also morally compromising the law. This we read in Judges 21:25. Everyone did what was right in their own eyes. Yet in the midst of this history, Rahab is remembered because she believed in God, based on the passed down stories from travelers. She believed in the stories about God to the extent that she risked her life to save 2 Israelite spies. Then she trusts their sworn word before their God that they would be kind to her and protect her. A person is justified by works and not faith alone. And in the same way, Rahab the prostitute is justified by works when she deceived the messengers and sent them out by another way. For as the body apart from the spirit is dead, so also faith apart from works is dead. This we read in James 2:24-25. She is remembered because of her faith. By faith the walls of Jericho fell down, and after they had been encircled for 7 days, the walls fell down. By faith Rahab the prostitute did not perish with those who were disobedient, because she had given a friendly welcome to the spies. This we read in Hebrews 11, verses 30-31. All throughout most of Scripture, she is called Rahab the prostitute, which in the context of the Bible is not a good label or name to have. But there are two redeeming scriptures that declare her no longer a prostitute, but a wife and a mother. Salmon, the father of Boaz by Rahab. You see, God in his kindness and mercy, God had a plan not only to redeem her name, but have it written that she was the wife of Salmon and the mother of Boaz. This is in Matthew chapter 1. God even has a plan that she is part of the family line of royalty, Jesus Christ. Rahab, together with Naomi, who the women in Bethlehem don't call Mara or bitterness, but they call her Naomi, they are grandmothers. This is the blessing declared over Naomi, but I believe it's significant for Rahab and her family line too. Blessed be the Lord who has not left you this day without a redeemer, and may his name be renowned in Israel. He shall be to you a restorer of life and a nourisher of your old age. Salmon fathered Boaz, Boaz fathered Obed, Obed fathered Jesse, and Jesse fathered David. That's King David. But that we read in Ruth chapter 4. So both Rahab and Ruth, foreigners by birth, but redeemed by God to be part of the plan and family line of our King Jesus. I encourage you to read the questions that are attached to the study. Answer the questions together in your group, and may you discover the truths that not only impacted Naomi, Ruth, and Rahab's lives, but will also impact yours.